to get started. My name is Jody Culp, and I've been working with persons with life challenges for about 28 years, so for a little while. Everybody can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I want to make sure my voice is right. I brought two of the people I hang with me, and you get to meet them and introduce them at the end of the program. Both of them have micro businesses. Both of them are doing life independently, and both of them come from situations which are very complex. So, the third person that we will introduce you to is actually in Canada doing presentations on tomorrow, and we'll go through some of that too. I am also going to go over some of the work we have done with dogs. I am an animal behavior person, and I have worked with canines for an awfully long time. I've trained about 670 canine family teams, so pretty good experience. My interest is in fear aggression. That's what I like. I like meltdowns and rages and all that kind of thing, which is like really bizarre, right? Yeah, I know.
All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. So we're going to talk about that because it's one of the things that was very interesting to me and important to me was to find out what caused it and how could I help people that face those challenges go to that next step and try to help them make that progress. But I needed to understand it more. And in order to understand it more, what I did is I started working with canines. And canines that had come from the wrong side of the tracks and had families that were trying to rehabilitate them and work with them. Because one of the things that happens to a canine is they go from thought to reaction very quickly. There's not a intermediate position. So it's given me some time to really kind of look at things. And I'm not comparing humans to dogs, okay? I just needed another kind of thing to work with. All right, so when you look at, can people see their little tiny mouse? Are you able to see that? Okay, one of the things I found in working with people I care about is that in order to have a dream, you have to have a life. You can't have a dream without a life. And that means that your life is an important thing to you. But in order to get that life, you have to be safe. And so we can take Maslow and we can go back into psychology and look at that and say, okay, this is what you got to have to make it happen. But he deals with safety, and he deals with health issues, and he deals with a lot of the undergirdment, but not the details, okay? And sometimes it's the little details in a person's life that we'll talk about that make that difference to make life better or worse. So the first thing you have to do is you have to, of course, have housing. You have to have a safe place to live where you know you can go to the bathroom safely. You know you can get a drink of water out of the kitchen sink. You know you can sleep through the night and not be bothered. You know that you can just go, because isn't that what a home is? A home is a place where you can go, I'm okay. I'm okay here just like I am. And that's just the beginning of a dream. The second part of a dream is you have to be introduced and exposed to things. You know, we can't dream about things if we haven't been introduced to them. And we need to have the experiences in order to do that, and we'll talk about some of those in the future. You also have to have one more piece, and this is the aha piece that I've learned from the canines that I work with that are really troubled. And this is the piece that I've given to the people I care about. You have to have fun. Because if you're going to overcome all the stuff you deal with, all the stuff you've been given in your life journey, then if you're going to go to that next opportunity to participate and to enjoy life and to beginning to build dreams, you have to have fun doing it. And you learn, I learn, we learn, if you had a teacher in school, who did you learn more from? Or a coach? The coach that was on your back all the time, or the coach that you wanted to work for because that coach made you, empowered you, made you feel good, made you have fun, you know? And even though he might have been a harder coach or a harder teacher, in the end you learn more. And that's what we found with the people that we really care about. Once those pieces are in place, they have freedom to start creating. So You can't create something without having opportunity. So one of the things that I use quotes in here to talk is the first step towards success is taken when you refuse to be captive to the environment from which you find yourself. And all of us can find ourselves in adverse environments. You and I can walk out of here today and our life can change on the way home. It is possible for any one of us. In the winter, someone can slip and fall on the ice. Some of us may be born in a certain kind of situation, environmental or physical or mental, and those situations are going to determine the path that we may or may not be able to walk. Now, with some of the new legislation and some of the mandates that say, hey, employment first, guys, we've got a big job to do. There's a big job to employ people that may have failed and failed and failed. And why does that happen? The clientele that I'm going to talk about today are people that have experienced life through prenatal exposure to alcohol. That means fetal alcohol. They're one of our more complicated, they're one of our more difficult populations that we work with. I have a memo from a girlfriend who had reference to a survey done by doctors. And this was on autism, okay? And if you're looking on the scale of complication, fetal alcohol falls further away than working with people that have been supported with autistic tendencies or ASD. And what happened is the doctors, I think the number was 80%, don't quote me, but it was a very high number, said they would rather work with a medically complex case than one person in their patient base with ASD. Okay? Now these are medical people that are supposed to know. And I looked at that and I thought, if they're saying that about ASD, what are they saying about the people I love, the people that I care about, the people that I want to move forward into our society in a good way? So first, I want you to believe that people have dreams. And when they have the freedom to have the aha, the deep breaths, the calmness in their lives, they have an opportunity to start dreaming about what's possible. Now, I'll give you an example. One idea maybe somebody said, I want to be a pilot, and you're like, there's no way on earth that this person will ever be a pilot. But what if you dug deeper, okay? Instead of shutting that dream down, what if you dug deeper and the dream was to be at the airport? The dream was to be involved in airplanes. The dream was to be part of the environment of an airport. Whatever it was, you can dig down and find places that may function as part of that dream. And they may not even mean they really want to be a pilot, because pilots take a lot of education and energy and responsibility, and they may not even know what that is in that sense of the word. What they know is that they like the airplanes and the up and down kind of thing.
Like riding in airplanes.
Like riding in airplanes, yes. What good is being a success at something you don't care at all about? And we find this a lot of our day programs. It's a place to serve time. A place to serve time but not make dreams. And I'm not saying we can make dreams for everybody. But I think in the next 20 years, we're going to see some big changes in the disability field. And we're going to start seeing empowerment of people that we haven't seen empowered before. We more easily stepped into the role of persons with physical disability, okay? Physical challenges, because the way they think, even though they're challenged physically, is similar to the way others in the industry think. And so it seems easier. But what if you're dealing with someone that doesn't think at all like you, all right? So Helen Keller is one of those people, and she was a great advocate for people with differences. She was a great advocate for social justice. She was a great advocate for making a difference. And she actually walked in to places that other people wouldn't walk into. And perhaps she couldn't see it, but guess what she said she could do? She could smell the difference. Okay? So, because when she walked into a place that a group of people were sheltered in, and we don't do this since the 70s, thank goodness, she knew the difference. She knew the difference in the energy of the room. She knew the difference in the energy of the people. She knew the difference in the smell. So Helen Keller says, optimism is the faith that leads to accomplished achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. You are doing good. Oh. So what I'm going to ask us is that we need to know reality. Now, am I saying know reality like no in our brain, or am I saying know reality like N-O? Which one do you think I'm talking about? You guys can talk. I mean, this is a sharing kind of thing, you know? What I mean is understanding in our brain. We, and I'm talking about we who sit here, we who provide support, we who provide the opportunities, need to know reality. And that means understand. So I want to ask you, if you're dealing with a person that is non-compliant, are we dealing with non-compliance, or are we dealing with difficulty translating verbal directions? Are they getting it? And we'll talk about cognitive translation because that's one of the jobs that I do. Oh, you are like way on. Do they repeat mistakes over? I've told you 1,000 times. We've been over and over this, and you are still making this mistake. Okay? What if the person doesn't link cause and effect? What if they're unable to generalize? Okay? In the field of animal behavior, if I teach an animal to sit here, I have to teach them to sit here and to teach them to sit here again. I have to teach them to sit in the kitchen, and once they finish training with me in a training center, they have to go out and teach. We have to teach it in various places. If you are a person that is affected by fetal alcohol, and this is very important to understand, one of the things that happens is that if you're 10 years old and you're doing spelling words, and you've been given 10 only because you only get half of what everybody else does, which already stigmatizes you from the class because you only have half the words. And you go home and you're sitting in the dining room and you've got your feet on the dog and you've got a cup of hot chocolate and you've got the sun coming in, the sun setting in the window next to you. And maybe there's some noises that are typical family noises that you know, and you are just doing your spelling words. And your mom's saying them to you, right? You're spelling them just like that. You got it, man. You got him. And you go to school that next day and you go, I got him, Mom. I'm gonna nail this. I got him. And you go into school and you're under fluorescent lights, which I thank you for these lighting, because when I work with Sam and Liz, we often will turn the lights off. We make everybody have their presentation in the dark, well, in the dimness of a quieter kind of thing, because it's kind to them and it's an opportunity for us to see that that is a gift that we have that we can give. We can, you know, Helen Keller didn't need lights at all. She could have done her presentation in the dark. We're the ones that needed the accommodation. So we make a juggle accommodation. So you go into school and you sit there and you're sitting under a fluorescent light, which is making the words jiggle because the fluorescent lights are affecting your body. And you are hearing things that are going on in the hall, and the waft of lunch is just starting to come into the room through the kitchen because they're just starting to cook lunch, which you don't get to eat for a while. And the teacher calls out the first word, and you get 100% wrong. And you knew it when you walked out that door. And when you go back in and you sit at that dining room table after school with your mom, and she says, how'd you do in school? And you have the temper tantrum meltdown that they usually have. Because if you have it in school, you've learned that gets you in school suspension or something not nice at all. So you have the meltdown in your home and you finally chill out and you're sitting there. We'll say, let's try them at home and see how you do. Out of the 10 words, how many does the person get right?
10.
10, all of them. Okay, all of them, all right? I'd like to share something of Liz. Can I do that for you, hon? Okay. Liz was hospitalized for 3 weeks this year in serious condition with 100 different caretakers helping her get well and healed. And when it was all done, they asked what we needed, and what we got was an in-home clinic. Because she had management issues that she had to learn. Where best would it be for her to learn to manage her health care? At a clinic, in an office, or in a workroom, or in a student sit-down classroom with a group of other people? Absolutely not. the best place for her to learn was in an environment where she would be doing the same thing over again. Because to translate that information is not going to work. So what about irresponsibly late? Hey, Ron, this is my presentation. Whoever did it, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So irresponsibly late. What if you don't live on time? What if your world lives in process time and not clock time like we do in the Western world? What if your world is, it goes from when I finish doing this, then I'm going to do this? And what if the first step took a little longer and your next step was visiting about rehab? For those of us that do picking up and helping people do their errands, this can bring our heart rates way up, you know? Because we know that there's an expectation. In doctor appointments, there's a 7-minute window, even though doctors have an hour window. You know, and we can get there on time and sit and wait. But if we're too late and we're the next one up, we can lose a specific appointment, especially in the dental arena, for the next 6 weeks and have to sit there until we, you know, be on standby. So there's things that have to do, but irresponsibly late, maybe that they need assistance organizing. Now, I've learned, because I've learned one thing, doing direct service provision, is that I better take my Jody out. Now, Jody's here with you today, but if I'm just dealing with the people I support, putting Jody in with all her blah, 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 and all her arm movements, and all her exuberance, is not going to be effective to make the progress we need to make. An example, yesterday, we have the gentleman that had the dog, so I'm going to tell you the dog story because he doesn't get to be here because on Monday, he probably will have a baby. And in 2007, he had been in a group home for 13 years. And his dream was to someday marry and become a father. And we can all think, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Or we can think, how do we wrap around, and what I call braid in, because that's the words we use in our company, in our agency, is how do we braid into his life in a way that keeps him safe, but keeps him fluidly moving forward. So wrapping around contains a person. Braiding in keeps that movement going through. It also brings people in and out. So there's the, and we'll talk about, there's the core people that come into your life, and then there's the secondary people that come in and out, judicial, medical, dental, school, that kind of thing. How about overly physical? If you're born, if you were in the womb, and the new Irish study from Ireland says that 1 glass of wine can cause 2 hours of no breathing. They've got it documented now. They took people mildly drinking. I mean, what they are saying still in the medical profession, which makes us shudder that have cared for people and love people and helped empower people with prenatal alcohol exposure. But they are saying, you know, 1 glass of wine is not going to hurt you. Okay, 1 glass of wine may not hurt you. The thing we say is this: if I decide to have a glass of wine at night with my meals, which is wonderful, I like wine, have a glass of wine with my meals, I'm only going to have 1 glass of wine. The question is, the U.S. normal glass of wine is 5 ounces. Now, it's very unusual that you'd ever get a 5-ounce glass of wine at a restaurant. Very unusual. Usually, that means in a normal size, smaller glass, it's about this much. Usually, you're going to get this much. Okay, so first, in a normal restaurant, you're going to get twice. And I don't begrudge someone relaxing and chilling under stress. But what we're going to be beginning to see with the 3D imaging and the ultrasounds and some of the movies and things that are starting to be able to make in the womb is we're going to start seeing what happens to a person when they quit breathing. And when they quit breathing, guess what happens to your skin? You're not moving, okay? How are you getting your sensory integration to happen? You're getting your sensory integration by rubbing, by moving, by that pressure in the womb holding you there and making you, touching you, right? If you don't have that, what's going to happen is you may be overly sensitive to touch or underly sensitive to touch. And all of your senses may be that, which is called hypo or hyper. So, oh, I guess I can do this. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, so, we're going to go the next one. Okay, we gotta make that.
So you hit the key.
Oh, okay, got it, okay. All right. So if you saw down there, it's I'm a realist. And you will know that I'm a realist. But I'm going to share something with you about being a realist. Can I share this story, Liz? You're okay with it? Okay. All right. We were with Voc Rehab. And Liz said, I'd like to work with senior citizens. I like senior citizens. I like to work in helping them or in cooking with them or being part of their service team or whatever. She just wanted to do it. And a counselor came to her and she said, I'm a realist. Do you think people will like your hair? Do you think seniors are going to like your hair? And she said, I'm a realist. Do you think they're going to like your makeup? I'm a realist. Do you think they're going to like your earrings? And I'm sitting there because I cognitively translate, which you'll learn what that is in a little while. And I'm like, quiet, just don't. She hasn't said to say anything, so keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything because you don't know what's going on in her mind, only your mind. We got in the car and I said, Liz, what'd you think about the conversation? She said, well, why would a realtor care how I look? Why would a realtor care how I look? Don't feel bad about it. What I'm saying is that what's said and what's thought may be two things, and I can say thank God on that one, you know, because I know what happens if she really knew what was going to be said. So fidgeting, sensory overload, can they manage what they're dealing with? You know, are the lights flickering? Is a smell coming into the room? What's happening in their sensory life, which is different than our sensory life. Poor social judgment. All right. The person with the dog, who we thought if we could only get the transition to happen without death, imprisonment, institutionalization, hospitalization, maybe we could use a dog. Maybe we could use a dog to make this transition happen. And we were blessed with a puppy that was incredible. I'd never met a dog that was like as smart as this little puppy was. He was incredible. We thought, okay, you know what? We could use Limey. Limey would be a dog that we could try using it. So we started training up Limey specific for this gentleman. And Limey was good. He could do anything. He could go up and down elevators, and he could go in and out of tough spots. He'd go to the movie. He'd go bowling. And of course, this person was sitting in the front row of the movie, and he liked action flicks. So this is the dog sitting in the movie under the action flick stuff. He survived. And guess what happened to the young man? The person that had 24/7 care and then got to have 1 hour free ended up having 24 hours free with the dog. Okay? So it was huge. It all of a sudden gave him that, it stopped the limits on his life, and he moved back with his family. The piece that didn't work, that no one figured out, and why we haven't placed additional dogs with this disability, this difference, is because the anxiety that he had, the fear he had, which is why I've now trained 670 other dogs, because I'm trying to figure this out, transferred from him to his partner. Okay? So every time the dog would go, he'd go, yeah, good boy, that's how he, yeah, good boy. Okay? And pretty soon, he had the dog at a point where it was dangerous. A dog that was totally gentle, kind, became somebody that you had to really watch out for. So we took the dog back. But guess what happened to the young man when the dog came back? He started moving out into the community in his own apartment, got his own job, because he had that year of walking with a partner in safety, of learning to do it on his own without getting into trouble. And then his next dream, he wanted to realize he was getting married. And he did. He got married. They've been married now for 1.5 years. And their other dream together was to have a baby. And there are a number of us that are going to walk with this couple. And we're going to stand as hard and long as we can to help and believe in them and watch them parent this new little person who will be coming into being next week. We're excited about it. The agency I work with, we're apprehensive about it. We're joyous about it. So are they. Okay? But the goal is to keep everyone together and healthy and safe, and see if it can work. Okay? Does not work independently. What if you can't start something? What if in order to start, you need to have somebody start with you? You can leave them once they're doing it, but maybe they need to have someone start it. Forgetful, chronic memory issues. You can't hold somebody accountable if their memory's not working. All of these things are real. So, I'm not a realtor, I'm a realist, and I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview of what we deal with. So, we talked about these things, some of these things, sensory processes I talked about. Well, what happens in fetal alcohol is it's not just sensory. Everything gets a little mixed up. So you've got auditory processing issues, which means you may be able to hear better than any of us in the room, but it doesn't process correctly. And you may be able to see better than we see without glasses, but it doesn't visually go through the same channels as it does in our brain. Memory issues, concrete thinking. Concrete thinking is the difference between no and no. Okay? If I say the same word, 2, 2, and 2, which 2 am I using? Okay? Pick one. If you can't do it in context, you could get confused. Lack of generalization, we talked about that. Those things are hidden. But this is what you see, okay? You see the red flags. You see violence for no reason, or a temper tantrum for no reason. You see incessant talking. And I want to talk about that because I think it's important is sometimes people have to process what they think with their mouths, okay? And I remember when we'd gone from chatter, incessant chatter, to silence. And seriously, as a parent, and you've got a teenager that all of a sudden gets quiet, which one did I prefer? You know, at least with the incessant chatter, I knew exactly what was going on in the brain all the time. And the very next step was, I'm hearing voices. I'm hearing voices. I'm like, well, what are your voices? And guess what the voices were? You guys having some internal chatter in your mind as I'm talking, thinking about people you care about or people you work with? You're having your own conversation going, well, I'm having my conversation. Some of it might not be anything to do with this, but to do with Saturday and Sunday. So that is happening inside of your minds because you're not talking right now. But what if you didn't have that? Okay? One of the hard things is not knowing what you agreed to. And look at some of the paperwork that has to be signed. How many of us have signed paperwork or agreed to something? Even on the internet. You want to get an app and it says, I agree to this? Who reads the small print and agrees to all the stuff on the app? Exactly. Arguing over insignificant issues. Insignificant to us because we're in a different place. And overreacting in loud environments. If you want to calm things down, the energy has to calm down too. So bringing a person that has issues of FASD into a machining shop or into a place with loud noises or into a place with loud smells, and it may start well the first or second day and all of a sudden fail. Or they worked really well in this situation, now they moved up and it doesn't work. You have to look at the whole environment that they're in. So here's what I want you to look at. This is normal brain development. Okay? Normal brain development. That's a person you may be dealing with brain development. And they are standing right in front of you or talking with you or working with you, and the connections that they have to make to get to the same place that you're making your connections, it's going to take them a lot longer, a lot more complicated. They may not even get to the right place where you would get, okay? So I want you to remember this word. This is yours to remember, Q-tip. Quit taking it personal, okay? Because if you take it personal, guess where it also goes? It becomes personal for them. And you have, it's a hidden disability. It's hidden, and they've had to live with it. So let's get to the good part. What have we done? Well, one day, Samuel, who's sitting back there doing camera, and you'll hear about him, said, we need livabilities. we don't need disabilities, we need livabilities. I'm like, yeah, we do. That's a good idea, yeah. He said, we need to focus on what we can do, or what we can live with, how we can make things happen. And then, seriously, it was these guys that sat down and said, let's figure out how to make that happen for us, for people that have challenges. And so we started with inspiring to a greater effort, okay? And we moved to, then we had to equip. We had to provide the tools and the knowledge of the tools. And we had to empower them. We had to feel that they could do it. So once you get the tools, if you've got a new software program on your computer and you now have to learn to use it, it doesn't feel real good the first day. It doesn't feel real good the second day. Maybe the first project you're like, oh, I got through that. But it took that much longer because all of a sudden, you know, I got Windows 8, it just came out. Well, I use a Mac, very different language. You instill small step by small step. And I'm going to pass these out at the end for you to read when you get home, but there's the small steps are broken down so you can see how we do it. And then what we do, which is really important, is we connect. Okay, that's where the braids come in. If a person likes to fish, and a grandfather fishes with him, and the child is 16, 17, 18, 19, and the grandfather's 70, what do we have to put in place for that young man, as a family or as a society, as a community? We have to put a friend or an uncle in the middle, okay? Because what's going to happen is that relationship, which is far more vital when you have a lot less friends than you or I do, when you have more people that are paid staff, or more people that are support staff. You have to have more braids. You have to have team braids. One of the things we're doing now, which is really exciting, is we're braiding companies into her business. And that's a new environment. We've got one company braiding in from Sweden. We have 3 companies braiding in from Minnesota. So, you know, that's a new strategy that we're working on that's making a difference. Because seriously, one company couldn't handle what we need to do. So, this is my kiddo, and we're going to go through the pieces. Because the end is good, guys. You guys get to hear from these 2 by themselves. So I use braiding cord strategies. That means we braid in businesses, people, structures, systems. If I use cognitive translation, if one of the people I serve is going to court, or meeting with a banker, or meeting with a social service person, I will go in and sit down. And I believe that our people with cognitive differences need cognitive translators just as much as we need sign language and interpreters for other languages, because it's unfair to put them into a place where they can't get that information and understand what's being said. The other thing we do that's different is that we mark trails for success. And marking trails doesn't mean we give the answers. It means we put the clues out there where they can self-discover. And when you self-discover something, it's yours. I can tell, I mean, Samuel, if I told you to do 10 things versus you discovered on your own, which one would you value?
Me discovering it on my own.
Absolutely. And what would make you grow?
Me discovering it on my own.
And you would own which one?
Me discovering it on my own.
Yeah, that's not about me.
Experience.
Because, and it's not about me.
I gained.
He gains it, and he owns it, and it's his. That's a step he can then take. All right, so here's what it needs to be. When we communicate, we need to be concrete. All right? Here's what happens. We look at IQ scores, and we look at all this stuff, and this testing, and these assessments, and we put markers on it. The reality is that we're all people. We all live in this world together, and we all live regular lives, and we're all regular folks. And I will tell you, the Sam and Liz are regular folks that live next door to me, and they do things like bring food over to the neighbor when she's sick, and they come over and take care of my dogs if I need help, and Sam does the gardening, and Liz cooks, and she brings us over treats. That's being a neighbor. That's plain old people. That's living in place where place is happening. Yes, generalize. We need to repeat. Does that mean I need to say to you, Liz, the same thing over and over again, the very same thing? No. It means I need to say similar things so that I build on it. We don't want to sound like a broken record. We want to build from one piece to the next piece, because sometimes what I say here, okay, which is one sentence, may not be totally understood, but if I say it a little bit different way, it's understood. Is that making sense? Okay. Processing, speed. I was blessed yesterday to be with the couple on their last week of pregnancy. And we had gone out on baby hunting adventures for wonderful things at stores. And they got exhausted. I mean, anybody at their last week before having a baby is going to get exhausted. And came home and snuggled her into a chair, and her husband was rubbing her feet and caring for her really sweetly. And I said, "Can I read Blake a story?" She said, "Oh, read him a story." So I started reading. Once upon a time, blah, 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 blah. She said, "Would you read slower, please?" Would I read slower? I was reading like I like to be read to. You know what? That wasn't how I should have read the story. I changed that story to read it in less than half the speed that I would have read to. And I changed my voice from being do-do-do-do-do to very calm and very quiet. And after 4 stories, she was sleeping. And went out said goodbye to people I served, and they were going to spend the afternoon taking a short nap. But wasn't that, if I didn't meet their pace, and it wasn't like meeting their pace condescending or demeaning, it wasn't about that. It was about honoring their pace. The other piece is asking about sensory. What did the woman ask me? She had a sensory thing that she needed help with. What did she need me to do in reading the story? Soothing, soft. Yeah, she needed that. And what was her husband doing for her? He was rubbing her feet with lotion.
Rubbing her tootsies.
Yeah. And do you think he was rubbing them fast? No, he was rubbing them slow. He was rubbing them slow. And you know what? It was okay. It was a good thing. It was a good thing. So Ready Chord strategies have a couple different pieces. They have inner braids, which are your inner circle, which are the people that you're intimate with. And then they have your outer braids, which is people that you work with, people that may support you, doctors, medical people, your outreach, your education. And we have to, as braids, sometimes be united, because we're going to tie in together. What we've found now with the businesses, and this is very fun, is that we're using the same livability strategies as businesses, learning to do things before we share. So I got my Safe Serve certificate, right? Because I needed to understand what was involved in the Safe Serve certificate. And Sam, you got your Safe Serve certificate. He chose to do it with Salvation Army, so he can go out and work as a team, as a volunteer on crisis. And then Liz got her Safe Serve certificate for her Liz Kitchen online, because that was the best way that she could do it. So each person got the same end result in a different way that worked best for that person. In Liz's Kitchen, which she's going to share the details about, I'm just sharing the business overview, we have a person that is involved in the overview administrative. Now, what that means is we were given a grant by the state of Minnesota for Liz to create a company, a micro business. And that was all really exciting. And then you look at the paperwork to do the business plan, and you wonder why there aren't a lot of these. It took my son, who's a marketing expert in Sweden, and he does business plans, my husband, myself, and 2 other business people to write the plan. To expect a person that's never done that or never come from a business world to do it, and to think about all the pieces that had to come into play to make it happen, was a barrier. Okay? The next barriers we found in it were when we're doing the reports. Okay, the reports are in an Excel spreadsheet. It's wonderful. But what if you see your world in pictures? What if you see and understand your world in not numbers on a list? Because numbers on a list are something you can't pull together and understand. But you need to see a catalog. So Liz's inventory is written in a catalog sheet, like a catalog. This is a picture of it, this is where we got it, this is what it is. And it looks just like a catalog. Her progress notes are written with photographs. Photographs, what we did, what happened, who we were with. You know, it means we have to do double paperwork. But you have to say, whose business is it? You know, yeah, the reports have to go to the state, but the reality is it's her business. And she has to be able to run it the way she can understand how it works. So, does anybody have any questions at this point? Because I've been talking at you. Okay. All right. So, cognitive translation. You go and set up a bank account. Liz, when you set up the bank account, how long did it take us to set up the business bank account? Do you remember that day? An hour. How did you feel about 50 minutes into that hour?
I don't like sitting still.
Yeah, so sitting still is really hard. And all those questions and everything happening, right? What we said is we were almost done. She had signed the papers and there was some finishing to do. Sam and Liz, because they worked together, went over and did some shopping and I finished the paperwork for them. Because it was not going to go well much longer, you know? And if it wasn't going to go well, and this is supposed to be a success, it's something that empowers people, then sometimes you have to back off. Now, to leave the situation and apply for a next day wasn't going to work well either. Okay? So we've also used it in judicial situation where they said, and we need a timeline of everything that happened to you. Give me a timeline. Yeah? Okay, a timeline. All right, now if you're a person that doesn't put things together that way, and you don't live in time, anybody got any ideas how you can make a timeline? Anybody got a good idea? I'm going to share with you. You're going to get some tips here. Go, Sam.
Police reports.
Police reports. That would do it. So do you remember what we did? Okay, what we did is we took recipe cards and we started writing recipe cards not in any order. Everything that could be remembered got stuck on a recipe card. And then the recipe cards, after we got a big giant pile, got ordered. And we took phone copies of phone text messages and reports and whatever, and pictures of things that were happening in lives during that day. And we were able to put a timeline together. So there are ways to do it that are a little bit different. So trail marking is one of the things that I think is really important, okay? You have to provide the calmness. You have to know the goal, all right? So what's the goal? And my goal may not be the same as what other people's goals are. And the goal is not time sensitive in the way it's time sensitive for my business, all right? My business, you hit the ground running, you got a deadline and you make it happen and you try to get there in time and earlier, right? In the goal setting that I do with the people I care about, the goal is sans time, okay? That means that I don't put a time limit on it, I put a progress limit on it. Are we progressing towards the goal? Are we making that connection to the next step? Are we learning and growing, and is it going in the right direction? And you have to realize that sometimes what we think is going to work backfires. And believe me, I've had things backfire, so I'm going to show you some things that do. So these are, remember we talked about survive and thrive. What things in Liz's kitchen could get us in trouble, okay? Whereas the kitchen is a dangerous place, man. Knives, burning, cutting. You can get in big trouble in a kitchen, right? So what if you grabbed a pot and it was boiling over and you were impulsive and you grabbed the pot and you tried to dump it right away? How likely would it be that you spill it? That's me, yeah. If you
Well, I would never do
All
that.
right, so here's a tip. A simple fix is you can break the surface tension with a wooden spoon. Try it. Try it. Lay a wooden spoon across and see if it breaks the surface tension. butter or oil will do the same thing, but
Or taking something out of the oven with no mitts.
taking something out of the oven with no mince, bad choice, yeah. You know, if we're cooking, can we cook multiples so that we freeze it? You know, once we're doing it, can we make both? Boiling an egg, who's got a really good strategy for boiling an egg where they never crack, everything turns out perfect every time? Okay, I'm gonna tell you how to do this, this is so cool. Okay, cold eggs, cold pot, cold water, that's the start. Eggs go in first so you're not dropping the eggs in, right? So they're just sitting there. You put the cold water in, you bring the water to a boil, boil it 1 minute with a lid on it, turn the lid, turn the pot off. 20 minutes later, you're gonna have a perfectly hard-boiled egg every single time. Every single time, it'll be that way. And you don't get into, huh? You boil it for a minute and you let it sit for 20. Now
Is it fully cooked?
yep, I promise you. I promise you. I'll have to show her, huh? If you want to crack an egg and you want to peel it, which is a pain too, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to push the egg down like this and roll it. Once it's got all these little cracks around it, you can just peel it apart. It comes apart in 2 pieces. It's very nice. Very nice. So it eliminates some of that frustration. I know, haven't been shared you everything that I've figured out. You know, what happens if someone can't deal with sanitizing because they're chemically sensitive? That may be what we call in Liz's Kitchen a helping hand. That means at that point you need either find, yeah, but you wouldn't put vinegar in the dish in the stove.
No.
Right, in the plate. In one case we portioned the plates because portion control was just like huge, right? So what we did is went over to Michael's, got some porcelain paint, painted the plates, they decorated themselves. Now they knew how to do my plate on their own thing. The other thing that's important is, do you know what use by dates are, sell by dates? You know, how are we going to get in trouble? These help somebody thrive, okay? Because all of a sudden they're successful in the little things. Go try them, you'll have fun. Lizzie knows about these. Liz loves to shop, and you can see she's stylish, right? She's stylish. So her room, her clothes are like shopping in the store because she can have, you know, the same kind of things folded right there, and she knows that that's her. Which ones are those fleece? I don't know. She knows what they are. This is all pink. I know that's pink. And this is, and then we roll everything in the drawer so that when she opens the drawer, it's all rolled and she can easily pull it apart. Calendar, different colors mean different things. Yellow is for me. That means I'm not available those days. Pink is Liz, blue is Sam. You know, extended family. Picked up a used dresser and put it in a room, we painted it, and it's actually a sewing cabinet, so refurbished, upcycled something for her. Okay, now, what do you introduce and expose? These are some things that we do to introduce and expose. Last winter, we did a winter garden. So we, in the snow, planted seeds and grew all the babies, both in lights and outside, to see what the difference would be like in little hothouses. This year we did maple syruping, and those are Sam's tomatoes. Yeah. But that's not all of Sam's tomatoes. You should.
Some of them.
As long as you can get to them before the squirrels do.
Yeah. Sam and the squirrels have a fight.
Feuding with the squirrels.
These are Liz's products, okay? And I think they're great, all right? So when Liz says, I want to learn to make bread, okay, so there's no reason you can't learn to make bread or cheese. You know, she has made her own cheese, salad dressing, quiche. There's no reason it can't be beautiful and fun and healthy and tasteful. And that's what Liz's Kitchen is going to be all about, is creating healthy choices for people that have challenges. And when we presented to the state for Liz's Kitchen, I said, well, we'll have to get a videographer, we'll have to get a photographer. And Sam said, oh no, you won't, I'm going to be that. Now, my great old brain wanted to say, no, you're not. Why are you going to do that? But after years of experience, I've learned mostly to keep my mouth shut and instead think, how can we make this happen? Sam, how did we make that happen?
We became members at Northwest Community Television.
And what did you do?
First? We took the 3 classes and became members first, and then I went on to this picture on the right is us in our class making a commercial for them. But we had no idea that's what we were doing at the time, and so I volunteered to be the talk show host, and that's what I was doing. And so I had my mother and my nephew with me, the two on the end. Yeah. And Jody was camera number one.
Yeah, I don't
she was
get a
my
picture.
close-up camera. And so now I have my own show at Northwest Community Television, and it airs every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's called The Good News from Power Source Ministries.
And how many episodes have you done?
I just did my 17th episode, which was our Easter communion. So
And
that's currently airing.
how many times a week?
It
3.
airs 3 times a week. My regular slot time is 6:30 p.m. on Sundays on Channel 19, Comcast Cable, and then it re-airs at 2:30 a.m. and then 10:30 a.m. also.
And Sam,
Oh.
what if I said to you, I'm a realist, you don't have any experience, and you're not going to be able to go to college? What
I
would
say I can show you better, I can tell you.
So our thing is this: take a chance on me, because you're going to be mandated to take a chance on lots of people, and I hope I've empowered some thinking here. And let's see what I can do. Anybody got the time? Because I want to make sure I know. Oh, we're doing great. All right, because then we're going to talk after. All right, so here's it's about people. This is about people. This is about people with real lives, and we're going to start with Liz's Kitchen. We spent the year of 2014. Liz came up with the idea in 2013. We went to the Voc Rehab in 2013 in the fall. They gave us a business plan. We looked at it. We choked. My son called and he said, hey Mom, I'll tell you what, I really do believe in this. I'm going to come and spend a week, 10 days with you, and we will sit and write the business plan on your dining room table until I'll give it back. He was an exchange student for a year. He said, I want to give back what you gave to me when I was a kid, and I want to give it to Liz. So he came for 10 days, and we worked on the business plan. We secured the grant, and we began producing our first videos this year, and we have got, how many we got done? It's not published, it's not printed, but we did one, right?
Right.
Yep.
We've got
recording.
we got one recording, which is the test, and I'm not going to share some things because I want Liz to be able to share. Sam's is a member of the Northwest TV. He graduated from the Salvation Army Volunteer Program, and he's got 17 shows with, I said 2, but you actually have 3 time slots, so I'm wrong. So the one I'm going to talk about is RJ, who's hanging upside the tree. And what color are his shoes? Red. He's got red shoes, all right? That's significant. RJ decided after years of being misunderstood and institutionalized, he's from Canada, that he wanted to be visible and his shoes would stand out, so he got himself a pair of red shoes. And RJ, I love him. He's awesome, okay? And we started talking, and I said, why do you wear the red shoes? He said, because I want to stand out with my red shoes. So when International FASD came last year, I said, let's take our red shoes and see if we can run up to the big, there was a world connection that went all around the world last year, and it was a big participation. Sam and Liz participated. Of like
Too young to drink?
Yeah, Too Young to Drink was the presentation. But what we did is we took the month before to see how much PR and social media we could get to test for Liz's Kitchen, and we used the red shoes to do that. And we ended up getting 11,000 hits in 1 month, which was awesome. We ended up getting almost 1,000 likes on our page, and it was all grassroots. It was totally, nobody had any money, we just got together and did it. And so this year, red shoes are what we're doing and we're going to try to pull the Too Young to Drink people with us. So these are all people that there was a time nobody believed in them. And I asked them, okay, I want to know what you want me to say, not what I want to say. But what they said to support them better for adulthood is, it's not about you. It's about us. So take yourself out of the equation and realize you may just be the tool. You may be the tool to get us where we need to go. And that's an important piece, and that actually came from this gentleman right here, James Gideon, who runs Inside FASD. He's from Canada, and he's actually a counselor for youth that come out of the juvenile justice system in Canada. And what he does is he runs them through a horse program. And his horse program actually has got kind of an interesting strategy. He starts the horse program by having them clean the stalls. So you know what they're shoveling when they have to do that. And he can get by with it more than you or I could get by with it because he's been who they are. And basically his statement is the first thing you're going to do is shovel all this stuff out of your life. And we're going to work it and go ahead and get mad and do whatever you need to do, but we're going to work through it. He's worked with lots and lots of kids. This is Savannah. Savannah was told by her psychologist that she could never have a relationship with anyone. Not a person to be able to have relationships. Well, she and Mark, her significant other, run a support group for parents that are raising children with FSD. And not only are they doing that, but they're hosting RJ tomorrow in Canada, and they had started in a church, and then they went to the police. They'd started in a room in the police station, which RJ thought was quite funny, and then they went to a church. They have outgrown all the rooms because people are coming from all over to see him. And this is RJ, he's the red shoe guy. There's Ken, he's one of the dad that's coming up, and his dream before the marriage was to create a book. He wanted to publish a book on his life. He had been in foster care and group homes and in other places, and I am given permission to speak for him, so he could not, but he said I could speak, so this is not a HIPAA issue on any of these people. His book is called Making It To I Do, because that was his goal. So he put his wife on as co-author because she made a big difference in his life. And that is the guy right there. He does break for food. Don't have to worry about it. Wherever there's food, you'll find space.
If I'm hungry, I'm breaking.
And then Liz, you'll talk to, okay? So some of the things they said is find our stressors. Find our stressors and build solutions one step at a time to help us through those. In one case, I come in and the eggs were a stressor. So, okay, if the eggs are a stressor and you're getting crazy because you're trying to open them up, let's figure out a way to do it. Well, that's what we discovered. That'll go on Liz's kitchen. We can do that. Provide cognitive translations when I can get in trouble. Okay? Wouldn't it feel good to go with someone that you could trust would translate for you if you didn't know what to do in a way that didn't step on your toes but let you inkle? I don't quite get this. And not feel like you're going to be judged because you didn't quite get it. Check your engine. My engine's running real hot right now, okay? And it's fast. It's not the speed that's fair to Sam and Liz, okay? And I'm not saying they're slow. They just run at a different pace than I do. And this Energizer bunny is not always their best friend. Luckily, they know how to pull me back to reality. Have fun. Some of the most fun people I've ever met in my life. The most enjoyable. The people that live in the moment and laugh with a laugh that makes you laugh until your stomach hurts have been prenatally exposed to toxins in the womb. And over all the years of school and pressured down, that person you don't get to see. So if you're given the gift of being able to see that part of them, count it that you've succeeded, because it's a wonderful, wonderful place to get to. And please, quit worrying. Work with them to solve their problems, and know you don't own it. And know that today and tomorrow, and from the day they were born, they've had to live with it. And respect them for who they are. A number of people participated with Children's Courage Center and Gillette Hospital. And they had a program that these researchers wanted to find out what would happen if we compared people with TBI or acquired brain injury with people with fetal alcohol. Would they be different? Would they have different outcomes on giving given this test to see if they could perform it, what would happen if we put them into the same pool as everybody else? What would happen to this group of people who don't seem to succeed the way we think they should? Anybody got any guesses of what happened? Anybody want to guess? All right, here was the surprise, and I'm excited to tell you. They surpassed everyone. They surpassed everyone because guess what they've had to do from the very moment they were born? Figure things out. They had to figure out strategies to walk in this world and to work in this world and be part of this world different from everybody else. And so even though they gave a test that other people were frustrated with and melted down from and got confused, because in some cases they knew they could have done it before and they couldn't now, guess what our guys did? Kept marching, solving one problem at a time. Yes, Sam?
Okay.
You can talk about it. Yeah, talk
about
about that.
I also have a TBI, and so I believe that she said we did the best. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
you guys, all of the group that was there, yeah.
Me and Liz did the best out of everybody, so I was kind of cool with finding that out.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was hard. It was hard. Do you remember doing that? What was it like? Tell them some things you
It was
did.
fun,
What did you have to do?
It really wasn't hard for me.
Yeah.
Basically what they had to do is you had to go down. It was like kind of like a,
Following directions.
well,
Like a
yeah,
scavenger
a scavenger
hunt.
hunt.
Yeah.
But what was set up differently is you only can go out in the place one time. You can't go in there twice. And you have to make sense, like which one should you do first? Which one makes more sense? You can't go get the envelope before you make the phone call because you have to make a phone call when you got all your tasks done. They give the tricky part where someone might make a mistake is you get like $8, but this test, they give you $8, but the test says you only can spend $5 because you have to buy certain things with the money. So someone might be like, I got $8, I have enough to buy the stuff, but you gotta really pay attention. Just because you have that $8, you're still supposed to have 3 left. You know what I mean? So, I passed it with flying colors. But the other thing is, you pay for a phone call, right? If you have a cell phone, you can use your cell phone. So that also saves you money. You had to buy a magazine, but it didn't say that what you want to get the cheapest magazines, because if you go into a place at the hospital and get one of their magazines, it could be pretty expensive. So you got to try to find the ones that are only like $1 or $1.50 or something like that, instead of spending $6 on a magazine. So yeah, so it's basically you just got to really budget, and if you know how to do that to save money, like when you go to the grocery store. I mean, sometimes we can't get out of buying something that's because it tastes better, but other times the lower brands can also taste just as good, so you want to go for your $1.
So Liz, you live on a fixed income, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you live on a certain amount of money every month. So you had to really budget.
Mm-hmm.
You've had to figure out how to get the most sheets of toilet paper on one roll, not just buy what looks like it's the cheapest.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely
Where do you
not.
shop? Because she's like this shop incredible lady. Where do you shop? Well, so here's the question. Where do you get your cool clothes?
Oh, I like Play-Dohs. I go to the mall too, but usually I go to Play-Dohs.
And name brand. Always name brand, right?
Yeah,
Always
but
name brand.
Play-Dohs probably.
Yeah. And
Only great for-
Goodwill too.
I don't get my clothes from there. That's you do.
I wasn't speaking for you. Sometimes, yes.
we found good
Sometimes,
deals, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I sure
Absolutely.
will. Man, Maple Grove, that's a good location.
So I'm going to start. This is RJ, great red tie. So we started from institutional care. He has graduated from college with FASD as an FASD trainer, which is what he's doing now. That was his dream. Regular college class, any of us could be in. He did it. He speaks at conferences. He runs an online international support group for parents and persons with FASD. And he's got 6 people that are with him, that all are adults that have lived their life with various challenges that help him support that. And then his dream is to create visibility for an invisible disability. That's what his dream is, to make it that it doesn't matter, that the stigma is gone, that it doesn't be something you have to be scared of. It's something that we can learn to understand.
He has a group on Facebook called Flying with Broken Wings also, right?
Yep, it's Flying with Broken Wings. You're welcome to go there. So this is one of our his pieces, which is I'm Visible, Red Shoes Rock, and those are some Red Wing boots. And we're just asking that everybody, and that you can encourage everybody to get involved in this, because it's a way we can have fun with red shoes and red boots and red mud boots and all kinds of things. And just if people say, well, yeah, where can you say, hey, I'm standing for the people that were born prenatally exposed to alcohol and want to make a difference. So this is Liz. And I'm going to share this part, and then I'm going to put on her logo so you can see her new logo for her company. And she's, so Liz has survived commitment, group homes, and hospitalizations, all right? So you need to know that if you look on the paperwork of what's written about Liz, it's not the person you're seeing today, all right? And I want you to be aware of that what gets written on people's paper, the reputations that precede them, are not who you find and discover as you get underneath who those people are. She's been independent, living 6 years in her own home, in her own house, okay? She manages her medical stuff. She can share that or not share that, it's her decision. She also, you need to know that although I'm her rep payee, she manages all her money, okay? I still am in charge because federally I need to be. But what's the rule? As long as you manage it, it's hers. I'm not going to step in there. Her medication, as long as you manage it, it's yours. Those didn't come in one day. Those things came in steps. She's a motivational speaker. She's in a stable relationship with her fiance. How long you guys been together? How long you been together? 12, 10 years, 12, 10 years, a long time. Stable.
11.
Okay. They had a time of going apart and growing and coming back, but there's she's a motivational speaker. Her dream is, I'm not going to tell you because she's going to tell you it'd be unfair for me to do that. So Liz, you can either sit down or stand up. This is her logo, and it's called Liz Kitchen, and that's a dot because she owns the website .kitchen, like .com. She owns Liz.Kitchen, helping hands, healthy food. So, Miss Elizabeth, it's your deal. You can talk about your thing.
About the cooking or about?
You know what? And if anybody has questions for her, please ask. Please, this is now your conference to learn and grow and have an opportunity.
Sorry.
Huh? Yes. Oh, okay. Another thing.
All right, you can grab that. But basically what the cooking app is all about, was she kind of roughly said it, but I'm going to do many variety of different food recipes, healthy cooking for people. It can be anybody, but what kind of brought the idea to my head, I had a friend that had a child as well, but she also could not read. So when you can't read, how can you cook? Because you can stuff what you've seen maybe, but she wasn't cooking very healthy at all. She was basically only cooking whatever she could put in the microwave. So this is going to be small videos so you don't get overwhelmed, so it'll be like 1 minute, so if you replay it, it won't be a big deal, you can always go back, and it's going to be little snippets on how to make recipes. So she can learn how to cook healthy, anyone can learn how to cook healthy and go by a recipe without getting overwhelmed and see it visually instead of reading it. So that's what we're going to do, and also we're going to, not only we're going to do it my own recipes, I'm going to make it so if someone, hey, I really want to learn how to do this, and without calling them out so they can feel embarrassed, we'll just put it into our recipe and we're going to make it, so it could be fun.
So some of the things you're doing is you're finding the best health, the best quality food.
And where we're going to get it.
And where are you gonna get it? What stores are you shopping at? Because that's important when you're on a fixed income. What stores are you choosing to shop at for Liz's Kitchen?
Well, what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna go to grocery stores that are worldwide. And basically, so we're gonna do Walmart, because that's everywhere.
In
And do
Canada.
Aldi's, Dollar Tree.
Canada has Dollar Tree and the US has Dollar Tree, so.
Okay. And, what was the other place we're gonna go?
And then any local market, farmer's market or that kind of thing.
Right. Well, yeah, and then if it's farmer's market, you're gonna, even though it's not gonna be the exact same farmer's market, you can get the idea, could be a local farmer's market, in every state.
Now, one of the things, Liz, that happens is a lot of people that have life challenges also have special diets. What are you gonna do about that?
Okay. Well, I'm gluten-free, so we're gonna do gluten-free recipes. We're gonna do, even though, I love meat, but some people don't like meat, so they're vegan or whatever, paleo, whatever.
Okay,
So,
it's okay.
okay, anywho.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you got a chuckle out of that, Mom. Okay, so we're gonna do that, or, I don't know, diabetes, because I have diabetes as well, so we're gonna do some, what are low carb, and maybe no extra sugar added, or, so some healthy snacks, also, what's another one we were talking about?
Make it fun, make it pretty.
I don't know, even in the holidays, special, maybe non-alcoholic drinks,
Festive
smoothies,
dishes.
we're gonna do special dishes, holiday cooking, all that good stuff, so.
And what did you get from the state of Minnesota? What did they do to help you? What did they do?
I applied for a grant, and it took and I got it, but it took about a little over a year, maybe a year and a half, but I got accepted, so it gave me a good chunk of stuff to just get started, all the equipment. So I basically went online and came up with a list, and they ordered all the products for me. I will come up with money for food, but it got all my pots and pans, dishes, equipment to cook with, 2 video cameras, and I think it gave us a little bit of money to pay the guy where we're gonna do the studio at.
Yeah, and what's the guy, what is he giving you? Because where do you
Is
keep all
he-
your stuff?
At his studio.
And why do you keep it there instead of your house?
Things will get lost.
Are we gonna name him?
We can name him. John Engstrom Photography has donated and braided into her business as a studio that he's been in business for 30 years. And he gave her his studio on Saturdays when he's not working. So she has a full kitchen. You were able to get the lighting. What other things were you able to get, Sam, to help with Liz's Kitchen? Because they're a team here on making this happen.
I received the 2 cameras and then all the lighting fixtures, and I even have a green screen. So everything that you need to produce a show.
And there's one other thing you have. What else do you have that you need at the end of it to produce a show? You have the programs.
Oh, the
Editing.
editing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that also got braided into because Connectworks does IT work, and they're donating a computer, and they have a video camera that's just like Sam's. Actually, Sam's is nicer, but they've got a video camera that matches, so that gives us another video camera, and they have the same exact software that Sam has. So they're setting up the beginning templates for Sam to be able to do it and then step off and make it. So you're partnering with Connectworks to do that, correct?
Correct.
All right. And we made the first video. What did you make on your first video, the test? We haven't shown anybody yet, just us, but it was
Oh yeah,
fun.
we did the smoothies.
Smoothies. Healthy smoothies. And we all got to eat them.
And delicious.
Another person that's partnered with us is one of the people that is going to college for marketing, and he's doing all the marketing plans, and he's using Liz's Kitchen as his his project for the next 2 years in college. So that's his college project, and then Graphic Arts, my company, is partnering with him to allow David Magnuson to do that for Liz. So that's pretty exciting. So you got anything else you want to share about Liz's Kitchen? Any ideas? How about your party idea? What's your ideas to do the parties?
Huh?
To do the parties for the group homes? To go out and practice? You
Yeah.
should. Yeah, share that.
What? I don't really know.
You don't, okay, well, there you go.
No, we're gonna go to group homes and they're gonna pick a dish that they want us to make. Is that one?
Yep, that's what I'm talking about,
Go pick a dish for us to make and we're gonna cook it with them. So they can learn how to do it and have fun and, feel involved.
And then leave them with the recipes so they
Yeah.
can make it every week if they want. 'Cause who cares, right?
Right.
But the whole idea is peers reaching into peers. So we were talking today, I said, Liz, would you want aprons for Liz's Kitchen? Maybe there's somebody out there that loves to sew that we could extend her business to be a sewer for micro businesses to sew the aprons. And that's how we're gonna make this happen for people we support and help, is that one business can help promote another business, Huh? What? Oh, I will share that. Okay. Sorry. Yes. All right.
I think it
Would you go get them?
about Ken.
No, I don't. Okay. Liz, what you need to know, is also a published author. There's a whole bunch of things you don't know before this. It isn't just like she hasn't just done something, but since she found out she had FASD when she was 13, the first thing she said is, Mom, I want to publish a book and write it so that people know what it's like to live inside my brain. So that book has been honored by Writer's Digest. It's been honored by Mom's Choice.
They're both award-winning authors.
And she did this, and when she wrote this at 13, because we didn't know, we got diagnosis at 12 and a half, okay? So we had a litany of diagnoses that were symptoms of what Liz was dealing with, but not the reality of the cause piece of it. So we didn't know we had brain injury until it was actually formulated, and we were homeschooling at the time. That took 20 minutes to write that piece, okay, at that time. What I want to show you is that at 22, this is her book, okay? Now the interesting piece on this is that Liz journaled as she lived through the adult transition and the state part of her life and hospitalization and it's truth. I mean, she doesn't, the one thing about Liz, you're not going to get a gollywog, you're going to get the truth. Whether you want to hear it or not, you're going to hear it. It's going to be straight up front, right in your face, and you're going to know. But we also then took case notes and what other people had said, which is in the darker type. Liz's is all in the lighter type. So you can see the conflict that happens in the paperwork. You can see the conflict and the misunderstanding of it. So Liz, before this, besides her state or her fixed income, this is how she supported herself. Okay, so speaking and sharing. And where have you spoken, Liz? Because you've gone all different places.
We went to a lot of different states. We even went out the country a couple times and did some presentations. I've spoken for years now. I've been speaking since I was 13, 21 or so. And basically, what I decided to write, well, obviously my first book, I just found, well, not too long after I wrote the book, I just found out I had FAS. And it was basically how I was learning, how it was difficult for me in the school system, how I didn't feel understood, and I was always labeled as not paying attention in school, and she's just being defiant, but really I didn't understand. And when you don't understand, you start to feel very overwhelmed when the teacher says you're not listening. So it was kind of expressing that, and also what we worked together, because we co-wrote that one. And then when I was 22, it was lots of buildup of different good things and bad things. So it's, I dealt with a lot of, I was actually chemically dependent with alcohol I was addicted from 18 till I was about 22, but I was heavy duty in it. So now I've been sober for 6 years, so that's awesome, but it's my journey. And I had a lot of setbacks, but I also had a lot of positive. And I was sharing that about my life, so basically it's like a documentary about my life, and I wanted to share with everyone. And a lot of families that came up to me like, you saved our family, you know, I don't know. My daughter finally came out and she feels comfortable with the fact that she has FASD now and she has hope now. And I'm not saying I can change the world, but it's just like, oh, I'm glad that happened, you know what I mean? I'm glad that I was able to restore their family together a little bit. So, books are available if you guys want them. Otherwise, you can check us out on our website and just whatever. But thank you guys very much for hearing us out and letting us speak to you guys.
Thank you. We are changing the world.
So you guys, that's Sam. Sam's come out of the justice systems. His diagnosis, how old were you at diagnosis, Sam?
34.
34. He's had sobriety for 3 years. I will tell you that the man he is today is a man I'm proud of. He has been, the Volunteer Lawyers Network is taking him on for full expungement of his whole thing, which is incredible. So, and when you look at the case, what you see and what you're going to see is when you look at what fetal alcohol is, there's definitely a profile there. And when you see it, it glares at you. And when you look at what Sam has been through, homelessness and living on the street and one thing after another, that, you know, he's been used as a pawn to do things for someone that was smarter or quicker or whatever to get, they wouldn't get in trouble, but he would. He's a caregiver for Liz. Liz would not live on her own without Sam there too, okay? Because of the medical pieces that she deals with. There's a season during the day, which is from 2 hours before she sleeps until 2 hours when she wakes up, where someone needs to be with her. And seriously, do you want your mom there? Yeah, I don't think so. Do you want your grandma there? Probably not. Do you want a nurse there? No. You want a regular old life like everyone else. Sam is also a motivational speaker, and his dream, he's already kind of shared it, but you can share it more if you want. And then we got any time, or we got to just take off.
Well, I had the opportunity to make my first movie with Northwest Community Television. Was that last June?
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm kind of addicted now, you know. So I just enjoy it, and I have a lot of hobbies and stuff, but yeah, I just enjoy life, and I'm so grateful to God, and I'm all about my church project, which is my show. And so, I mean, that's my first show. That's so awesome to me. I get to watch my show on TV. It's not just regular TV anymore. It's TV that I created. So, yeah, that's kind of
And he's done this on his own. There hasn't been, it's total natural community participation. It's not me being a part of it. All I can do, I do one thing. What do I do?
Right.
Drive you to the station.
Yeah, you do a lot. She wears multiple hats.
But-
she's like. So
But in
awesome.
reality, it's participating and doing it on your own, whatever you can do to a level. So success doesn't always involve hitting a home run. Most of the time it's just showing up for the day. And I thank you for showing up for our day. I thank you for being here. Those are our books. We do have them with us if anybody's interested. We don't have very many.
And we forgot our business cards.
Actually, you know what? I found some. I did throw some in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, there's our information.
Yes,
I have handouts here if anybody wants to get them. One is called Internal Understanding of FAS Nuclear Meltdown. So understanding what that is, and 8 easy steps to teach a child with FASD. It works the same with an adult. So it's the strategy on how to teach a learning skill. The 80s, or the nuclear meltdown is by the woman with the blonde hair in there, which was the empowerment for her to step out and decide to start a group